Hi everyone, it's Shari Carroll here with the SSS Stamp February 2014 card kit idea, and I've created a really sweet Valentine's Day card for this video. First, I want to start you off with my monthly walk through the kit, and I'll start off with the stamp set. It's geared for early spring, so it has some really nice outline flowers and solid flowers and wonderful messages. There's also a sheet of tags from Elle's Studio, and they're little messages that you can cut out and put on your cards. And perfect for spring is the fresh cut selection of basic gray papers, and I'll go ahead and fan these out and flip through so you can see some of the great colors that are in this collection. Some are wonderful for backgrounds, strips for borders, and also for using with your die cuts. So those are the paper selections. Included in the kit is a bag of goodies, and there are some really fun arrows from May Arts, and also some studio canvas white paint and some of the Tim Holtz linen ribbon, and of course your sucker. There's also a large sheet of stickers, and these are by Basic Gray, and they are a dark gray, almost a charcoal color, and nice bold letters. And then for the cardstock, there are several sheets. Some of them are by Basil, and I'll go ahead and start to fan these out. Some of them are different lengths because of the Basil has that little extra tab on the end. But there's a nice turquoise that goes really well with the fresh cut cardstock, and Desert Storm, there's a pink. This is the Basil Vellum, which I really love, and I'm using it in my cards today. A nice black, and of course some really great whites. So that is the February Simon Says Stamp 2014 card kit. To get my card started, I'm using some of the pattern paper that I've cut 4 inches wide, and I'm using the Heart Parade, and I'll just go ahead and run this through my die cut machine. So here's my die cut paper, and I'll be using the bottom portion for this, and I've also cut some Neenah white cardstock with the same die, which gave me a white frame. I've also trimmed up some of the vellum that will fit just perfectly across, and so I'll go ahead and put some Plus adhesive. This is my favorite adhesive, and I'm going to make sure I get into those little areas of the bottoms of the hearts and then across that bottom as well. And I'll go ahead and just line this up, and once I have that really well lined up, I'll go ahead and press that down. This will be the base of how everything will go together on my card. So once I have that first panel of paper down, the next thing I'll want to do is to add the little white frames. And so I'll go ahead and fit those in. And to glue these down, I do like to use my two-way glue pen from Zig. This is the perfect way just to add little dots of glue. And here it is. And it's got a fine tip on it. And so I'll just go ahead and flip this over really gently, and I'll start adding little dots of glue to the top and the bottom, and I'll just be going in the area that will go across this panel. Okay, now that I have the glue on the border, I'm going to go ahead and line this up and start pressing this in onto the vellum. And I want to make sure that I move all the little points right down into the point of that paper that's sitting on the bottom. I'll let this dry a little bit, and I'll clip off the edges once I'm done. Okay, now for the top portion, I've used my die cut, and I've cut some of the hearts out just across the top, and you can see that it's a bit wider than the bottom portion of the panel. And I wanted to keep it wider so that I can trim everything up once I have it glued down. So I'm going to make sure everything will fit in perfectly. And I'm not going to glue everything down yet, because first I do want to do some stamping, and I don't want to stamp on all the layers and have everything warped. So here I have the Thinking of You stamp. I've put it in my stamp press. And next I'll be inking this up with just regular Versamark ink and making sure I have this really well covered. So when I go to stamp this, I'm going to be using that bottom portion as a guide, because I know that I'm going to be trimming this off. And I'm also going to use my anti-static bag just to make sure that I don't get any extra white powder around. So I know where that edge is, and now I'm going to go ahead and fit my greeting in. And I'm also using the dots that are in the pattern paper as a guide to make sure that I have this going straight. So once I'm ready, I can go ahead and press that down really well, make sure that I get a really good impression. And once I'm done, I can go ahead and lift up this stamp press or let it bounce up, release that paper, and now I can start to add my white embossing powder. I keep my white powder in a tub since I use it so much, so now I'm just going to go ahead and use the spoon that I have in there and make sure that I get all the powder on that I want, and I think I've missed a spot, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more just to make sure that this is really bright white once I'm done and ready. And once I have all the excess off, I can go ahead and grab my heat gun and go ahead and heat set this. Okay, so now that my message is embossed, I can start on my assembly. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this over, and I'm using my plus adhesive. And I'll be adding adhesive probably just a little bit whiter than what I need to, and the main thing I want to make sure is that I get all the little tiny edges down in the bottom with adhesive, and I don't need to worry about the actual top part of the vellum at this point. So I'll go ahead and flip this over and start lining it up. And I'll be pushing this right up against the little white heart frames, and once I have that aligned, I'll go ahead and press that in. When I'm done with this, I can trim it up so that it is square and go ahead and put it onto my card. Here's a close-up of the framed hearts, and I've added some Carroll Arts mixed accents that really coordinate with the paper color. And finally, a look at the finished card. So I hope you've enjoyed my card inspiration for the SSS February 2014 card kit. Thanks for watching.